Hey, what is going on, guys?
How about you?
Can't complain. Had a nice little NASCAR weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
CC Sampson.
Oh, God. No, but here's the thing, though. Samson's still going to be on me because I never entered the $10.
Mm.
So he's still going to call me whatever name he keeps calling me every week.
Well, these things happen.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. Also, I'm a little flustered right now because of a Greek restaurant experience, but food came out good nonetheless, and I am back to full strength. So,
I mean, that's all that matters, though. If the food's good.
You're like a superhero that like you get your powers from Greek food.
well, I was like, one of those.
Did you find like a shield in Fortnite and pop that sucker?
One of those situations where like, yeah, it'll be ready in 10 minutes, and it ended up taking 40, and
Here's my question. Did you call ahead? Was it a call ahead order?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Why?
They just tell you numbers when you call because they know it's going to take you time to get there.
But like, this place is around the block from me, and I've been there like a half dozen times since I moved here, and it's been ready before I've gotten there every time until today.
Shit happens.
So you just set what they did is they over delivered on all the other times.
Right, exactly. They fucked themselves so hard because if you just say it's going to take 20 minutes, even though you know it's going to take 10, like that's the ultimate in customer service. Like set the bar at a really bad place and then exceed expectations. That's what I do here on this show every week.
I was going to say, I mean, that's sort of like the guiding philosophy of bogey free, right? Aim low, don't disappoint. And,
there you go.
Speaking of that, I suppose we should like talk about golf, right?
Might as well
if we have to.
So yeah, getting into this whole crazy golf thing. Well, I mean, let's just talk about the course. Let's just talk about Belle Reve. What stats are you looking at, and how are you building a player pool for this week's contest? So, Jimmy, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess first of all, definitely go check out my video on Fancier Sports on YouTube. I kind of break down Belle Reve. Give my sort of full take on it, but it's a par 70. I think it maybe is not going to be as difficult as I originally thought with the way the weather and the greens are shaping up. It looks like I saw some tweets earlier from caddies that are on the course that looks like the greens, they've been watering them and they're going to get the rain on Tuesday. It looks like they're going to set the greens up pretty soft because of the sod that they had to reinstall around the greens. So because of that, they're making sure that the greens are receptive enough to hold shots because of, maybe the lackluster condition of some of the new areas that they had to lay in recently. So we could see, some long iron shots sticking in, et cetera. But I guess the story about Belle Reve in general is everything's big there when I kind of like ran through it. And it's like big bunkers, big greens, big quadrants in the greens, very defined regions in the greens, and then tight fairways with lots of mature trees. And that's sort of like the way it shakes out. There's plenty of water that's on the course with a creek that kind of runs along it. It doesn't necessarily come into play a ton, in my opinion. I think the bunkers are far more the hazard that'll sort of dictate how this golf tournament plays out. They're really deep bunkering, both in the fairway and around the greens. So guys are going to have some bunker shots from the fairway where they're not going to be able to reach the greens. They're going to be laying up on par fours, etc. if they find some of these really deep bunkers. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. The other thing is you have to be on the right side of the fairway. So missing the fairway is not a problem because they are tight, but you do need to be on the correct sides of the fairways.
Okay, Matt, I'll throw the same question to you.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I am looking at as well. I think I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and it's one of those things where like I think I've been getting too granular when I've been looking at stats and trying to like figure out some secret sauce. And I really think at the end of the day, it's just like pick guys who you think are going to hit greens and make some putts and call it a day. Like really diving too far in, like you end up falling in love with guys that you shouldn't be looking at because of like one little thing. So I've been trying to sort of, I don't know, sort of look at like a bigger picture just from like a straight, like just good golfers. Like last week showed us that, right? Like not we,
Bro,
because
that's that soon to be dad wisdom coming in right there. Like you're fixing to be a dad, like the whole picture's changing. Like this is nappy factor Matt right now. Right
well,
now.
but
This is you getting hashtag woke.
Right, like exactly, obviously. But do you agree with me to a certain extent though? Like I feel like
no, 100%. I think I think you're spot on. I think when I first got into DFS several years ago, I was absolutely too granular in my analysis of almost everything. And I think part of that is you just have to get to learn the sport and like studying lineups, studying past winners, etc., is part of being, granular in your analysis. And then once you've established that base of knowledge, I think that you definitely have to zoom out, and that's where you start to find more success when you zoom out and when you can just sort of assemble your player pools based on the exact things you said there, like that high profile approach. Like, okay, what is the course fit? And who are the players that are in form, and just sort of blend those two things together.
Right.
And that's the approach I've been taking, at least as of late. And some of it's been wildly successful, and some of it's been, just wild.
Right, exactly. I think not that it was like a big conversation, because obviously he garnered quite a bit of ownership last week because of the price, but like just, and not even like calling people out, just like the overthinking of like the number 3 golfer in the world being 8,800 and trying to get too cute with things like that. It's like sometimes the you can just see that something is missing, right? Like you can just see that something's
the simple
wrong.
Answer is obviously the right answer,
right?
So it's just,
instead of trying to figure out what Vegas knows and why is the line so off for him and this and that, it's like, no, like people don't really bet JT that much. Like, yeah, Ricky had a shorter price, but it's because everybody loves Ricky and wants to bet on him all the time, even though he hasn't really earned that to a certain extent.
His course history last week suggested that maybe he should be, just because he'd notched a bunch of top 10s.
But just like in a vacuum, like on a regular.
Oh, no, you're right.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Can you, regardless of course, like does Ricky Fowler really have more win equity than Justin Thomas?
Of course not.
Probably not, unless something drastic happens. So I'm just saying,
by the way, foreshadowing, look back at this moment now and every other tout, hating on Ricky this week as he wins this week.
I was gonna say, watch him win after this whole.
No, just listen. As I've been doing analysis, and as I've been like, I deliberately don't listen to other podcasts until I record ours or record this one. So
yeah,
I don't know what everybody else is saying, but I'm not in a vacuum, right? I do see like postings on the Twitter world, and I do see articles that are, kind of pre-posted and pictures, and like no one is really hyping up Ricky right now. Very disappointing, a couple of days last week. So it's definitely shaping up, be like Ricky wins the Players type of thing, which, is what it is. I'm a Ricky fan. So I'd love to see it happen, but it's definitely shaping up for Ricky to be like the, hated on this week as we are doing right now, before we've gotten into any players, by the way.
I mean, I'm more just using him as an example. Like if you tell me their prices are the same for on a regular week for like a top 10 or a top 20, that's a different conversation. But for a win, I think that Justin Thomas should be priced differently than Ricky Fowler most weeks. So that's all that I'm saying.
As he should be this week, but isn't.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's sort of what I'm getting at. Like, I'm trying to do some course fit stuff and look at things a little bit differently. And I'll sort of mention that as we go through some of the plays that I like. But I'm really just, I'm sick of trying to figure out like the very little minute details. I really just want to be like, all right, this guy's probably going to hit a lot of greens, and if they do that, they probably get birdies, and if they get birdies, they probably win. So that's my new strategy.
Simple enough.
Hashtag easy game.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
definitely simple enough. Although I am looking at a certain set of stats myself, just for what it's worth. So I'm looking at off the tee, strokes gained off the tee, approach, putting. How they've performed their par 4 450 to 500 yard efficiency, sand save percentage, and then proximity 175 to 200 yards. That's everything I'm looking at right now. in
Yeah,
terms of
those are all right there. I
yeah.
mean, that's I think putting will be more important than maybe other
Right.
events, just
This does
because
seem
the
like a
greens are
putting.
so big,
Yeah.
right? And if you're on the wrong side of these greens because you're on the wrong side of the fairway and you can't get to the correct quadrant of the green, dude, we could see some really long roller coaster putts and some definite three putts happening around this track, even with the soft greens. So. Definitely something to look out for. It's something that struck me when I looked at the leaderboard from '08, when the only time this course was played for the BMW Championship there. I was sort of surprised to not find as many bombers and to find more like course management, shorter hitters, and then really good putters. Steve Stricker, Brian Gay were right in there. The guy that won, Camilo Villegas, good putter, right? And just I was sort of surprised to find as many good putters, short hitters as I did there. So I'm wondering if this week maybe plays out the same way. I'm not knocking distance at all, but I'm just wondering if maybe we shouldn't, discount, the shorter hitters as much as we maybe normally would, because it is a long track, but it's sort of a dynamic course. I think they're going to set up the 11th hole a couple of days to be close to drivable, or definitely.
Did we lose you there?
Yeah,
A lot shorter. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I think the course is going to be dynamic. I think they're going to be encouraging guys to get aggressive on certain holes this week. So I think the shorter hitters can certainly contend. Obviously, the bombers will be able to take advantage of a few holes that the rest of the field cannot.
Yep.
Okay. So let's just dive into this thing. We'll go to our top range of golfers here. So our 10K and up guys. We only have 4 golfers in this range, but Matt, I'll send it to you first. Who are you looking at, and who are you willing to be overweight and underweight on?
Yeah, I mean, see, this is where I get into trouble, right? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, obviously you want DJ, like he's DJ, and that freaking front 9 that he had on Sunday what did he shoot, 29, I think.
Yeah.
He there aren't a lot of people in the world that can get that hot, and obviously he cooled off on the back 9 and played, I think, even on the back. But just seeing him get that hot, I'm almost glad that he cooled off, because I feel like it knocked him down a little bit. I don't know, Jimmy, do you think his ownership is going to be crazy? I know we've seen a lot of like ownership discounts with the most expensive guys when there's been like multiple plays up at the top. Do you have any feel for what you think his ownership might be this week?
Yeah, I mean, look, just looking at Fanshare right now, he's the most tagged golfer. So
yeah,
it's hard for me to get too excited about people maybe getting off of him. I think he's going to be like 20%, but he's not going to be that prohibitive I don't think any of it's really that prohibitive, but he's not going to be what we consider prohibitive, like 35-40% certainly. But I think he probably gets right around 20%. I don't think that's a stretch, and if he gets a little higher than that because hype, that's fine. I think there's some very clear pivots this week, I guess is maybe the way to say it. Because there's guys that I don't think anybody's going to be on in almost every price range. And I think it's stark, right? I think like when you're in this top range, everybody wants to see DJ because of that performance. Obviously had a win recently in the Canadian Open, blah, blah, blah. Rory, has been sort of knocking on the door all year and then just fading Sundays, here and internationally. But he's shown flashes of being Rory. People are going to be interested. He'll be lesser owned than DJ. Nobody wants to play Spieth. Ricky's too expensive when you consider JT right below him, right? So I think that's how like your ownership or like sentiment shakes out. But like DJ is where people are going to go up here. And if they're not going to DJ, they're going to Rory. The only people playing Spieth or Ricky are the ones that are playing GPP shares.
Yeah, and I think something that maybe is a little bit lost on people, and this is by no means me saying like that I'm not going to play Rory, because I'll definitely, I'll have a couple of shares of him. But last week was the first week that his putter sort of came around, but for whatever reason, he sort of lost it on approach. So it's one of those things where if I was pretty confident in his ball striking and hoping for that putter to come around, then I would feel better about playing him. But if we did see like a little bit of like dip in his ball striking last week that continues to this week, I think it'll be difficult for him. Even though obviously he fits this type of course, right? And you're saying, you know, if it's going to be soft, obviously his long irons and everything else, like he can stick his approach shots pretty close. So I'm very torn on Rory this week. I obviously Spieth would be like a GPP play, but I mean, God,
Spate's
just when things go wrong, like it's unbelievable that we're like seeing him play the way that we're seeing him play right now. For whatever it's worth, I built like a little bit of a simulator for Course Fit, and Ricky actually graded out quite well here. He's in like the 92nd percentile in my Course Fit models, for whatever that's worth, which is based on like the length of the different holes and things like that. So I might find myself getting on a little bit of Ricky, but you know, with a $500 discount for JT is probably where I'm going to end up going most of my shares. What are you thinking, Jimmy?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's hard to justify like going heavy at Ricky when he doesn't score as well as JT, he doesn't win as well as JT, et cetera,
Yep.
right? So you're either going above him or below him, which I think inherently makes him a great GPP play, because Ricky always seems to play well when he's the forgotten man. Same thing with Spieth, it seems like. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them are there on Sunday. I will have some shares of Ricky because, again, I like Ricky. I want to see him succeed. And I did take a look at the thing you built. It's impressive. And it does have Ricky ranked really highly. So if you want to be contrarian and grab your chalk guys at the bottom, but you want you know, a quote unquote elite guy up here, I think a Ricky build definitely makes you different this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we'll go down here to our 9K range, where we have quite a bit of names. Tiger Woods at 9,900. Matt, I'll throw it to you first. Who are you liking here?
I mean, come on.
So I just wanted to make it a little bit interesting, just to build like a tiny bit of suspense.
The sort of like the ranking from the model that I built, JT is top in the 9K, and then it dips just slightly to Rose, and then Brooks, and then lagging a little bit behind that is Fleetwood. I mean, I don't really see myself. I don't know, and maybe this is the wrong way to look at it, but I don't really see myself in stronger fields spreading out up top that much. Like, I think there's an argument to be made for that, but I think that I'm going to try and sort of concentrate up here and really just pick like 2 out of those 4. So it'll probably be JT, and then I'll wait to hear on Rose. And, you know, with the withdrawal last week, obviously that's a little bit scary, but that might keep his ownership down a little bit. And if he took last week off, hopefully he's healed. So that's sort of where I'm leaning. But I don't know, Jimmy, can you really make like, maybe you can, but can you make like a really strong case against any of these guys?
No, and that's sort of the thing. Like, the 9K range is really loaded this week, in my opinion, and I think like it'll be the popular build. I mean, I can see a lot of guys just starting lineups with JT, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've already seen a major champion defend this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's JT that does it again. So I mean, it's on the table. Brooks started playing really well last week. I say really well. I get a little carried away. Brooks started playing much better. Justin Rose, I don't know. What are your thoughts on his back issue? Is it a thing? Is it not a thing?
I think, I mean, I think it was probably like an overly cautious move just because the major is this week. Like, if if this week was the Canadian Open or something that he was committed to, like he probably would have played. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know how to quantify that, but my gut is like, if he's making the start this week, that last week was probably just like let's really make sure everything's like good to go, rest, get some treatment, like do the right thing. So I agree. I'm not going to be scared off of him because of that. That might end up being the wrong, that might end up being wrong, but
I'm in agreement
towards that.
I'm in agreement with you that it's not the issue. I think again, like we've seen guys withdraw from WGCs like left and right for all kinds of reasons. Rose is a big game hunter, especially at this point in his career. So I'm not worried about that at all. I think Molinari drops off a little bit. I think we saw that. I mean, theoretically, he fits this course very well, but I think, again, like it's just so hard to stay at that level for like an extended period of time. And like Molinari had like a really long run culminating in his victory. So it's hard.
I mean, that was like 2 months,
of like just the best golf of his life. So it's hard for me to go back there.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna have to disagree with the course fit for Molinari. I mean, the putting's bad. The sand, like his sand save percentage sucks too. So I mean, if he gets in trouble, he's really gonna falter here.
Well, yeah, but like Molinari never misses a fairway or a green, so he fits every course. I mean, I just think we're done seeing like that crazy run he saw. He's going to miss greens. He's going to miss. He's just not going to play at his elite level, and you can't pay for that up here.
Right.
What about Rahm here?
Yeah,
at 9,100.
No. I'm just hesitant on Rahm. I mean, could it happen? Sure, but like I'm going to the guy right below him in day.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like I don't know. Just Rahm doesn't do it for me. He's not popping, I guess, so to speak. But could he be the guy? Absolutely. Especially if the course plays soft. I just don't think his game is like right there right now. But Day always plays well at this event. He leads the field in average points per PGA Championship the last 3 years, with like 119. He loves this event. He plays well at this event every year. He's starting to play well again. We've seen him with multiple victories this year. This is his major, and he's at a like extreme discount price tag of $9,000 for his talent. Does he miss too many fairways? Sure. Are fairways going to be missed this week a lot? Yes. So I'm gonna count on the short game and the putting of Day, and I'll just take a lot of shares of him and have a lot of concentration there and sort of skip the Fleetwoods and the Molinaris and the Rahms this week.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Rahm and Molinari are the two lowest in the simulator for this week. So I definitely agree. I'm not, as much as it pains me to say it, because I do love Rahm and I'll root for the guy, but I don't know that I'm going to roster much of him this week.
Okay. All right. So we'll move down to 8K range, unless there's any other 9K guys you want to talk about.
Nope. No, they're all in play for the most part, but those are the guys I'll be focused on.
Okay. So yeah, 8K guys. Jimmie, I'll throw it to you first.
Oh man, starting right off in the 8K range, you've got Patrick Reed, who I think maybe doesn't fit this course all that well on paper. Just we've seen him elevate his game for the big events over the past year. Starting with this event last year was his first really it was his best career performance of a major, and then goes on to notch his first green jacket at the following major beginning this year. We could see him bookend the year with majors. Reed has been kind of hanging around lately, but he plays well out of the sand, plays well on bent grass, can definitely find the fairways here.
Jimmie.
We lost him.
Oh no.
Augusta.
James.
Yeah.
You cut out hard for a minute there.
Oh man. Well, anyway, I guess Patrick Reed, the course doesn't really fit him on paper, but I think like we all thought Augusta didn't fit him very well either on paper, right? Too long, doesn't really fit his game. And this course kind of sets up the same way, but he's great out of the sand. He's great on bent grass. And he's going to be able to find the fairways and score here. Playing well recently, but not like great. I kind of like Patrick Reed to be able to like end the year with bookend majors. Maybe not win, but certainly contend here.
Yeah, I think from like I don't know, like it's not a narrative. Like he shows up to big events, like he competes and plays well. He, for what you're saying though, like course fit wise, he is like 33rd percentile in my course fit thing that I'm just gonna have to ignore and play him anyway.
Yeah.
But that was like, oh, okay, like maybe I need to still consider him because it's a major, and I think he shows up this week. The top two guys, and again, this is like, I don't know how to really describe it. I guess it's sort of like a measure of upside because it's really just about DraftKings scoring. It's not about relative to par. It's not trying to figure out position. But the top two guys in the 8K range in the model are Phil and Patrick Cantlay, like by a pretty significant margin. There's a couple of guys in like the low 80s percentile wise, but Phil and Cantlay are like mid 90s. So I'll definitely have a lot of Cantlay. I don't know how I feel really about Phil, especially after that commercial last week. It's a little concerning.
Oh, man.
And then obviously, I mean, 8,100 for Milton Finau is ridiculous. So that's not, obviously it's going to be 100% Finau this week too.
Yeah. I was on Cantlay last week. I don't know if I'm going to get on to him this week. Not for any other reason than I'm gonna say the same thing Ev said about Molinari, about Cantlay, and that if he gets into trouble here, I don't know how well he'll do. That said, if he plays like he can play, it won't matter. I'm just betting that he does find some trouble this week. That's all. Phil is interesting as he kind of just was. I think he was just outside the top 20 the last time he played here. And again, if a lot of fairways get missed, his off the tee game may not matter on a course that we can see some scoring. Phil could be a value. I don't know if I find myself there. I find myself much more on the Tony Finau train. And maybe my favorite play is Paul Casey this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how you get like more consistent positive bent grass putter. My only concern is he doesn't gain strokes off the tee like on the regular, at least lately. But
yeah,
I guess that's not my concern here on this golf course. As long as he's finding the fairway to some degree, and he should be able to manage that around here. I would think his approach game is what we're looking for. Again, I think like if Paul Casey was ever going to win a major, it would be this course at this event, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he's 10th in strokes gained approach over the last 24. And I've been putting like, not like a lot of weight into it, but I've noticed a sort of bump in how I've been doing when I've factored in putting just from 5 to 10 feet for whatever reason. And he's first in that as well over the last 24 rounds. And he's 9th in my model overall for my fantasy national model. So, and $8,000, it's like, he's going to make the fucking cut. You know what I mean? Like it's like, it's sort of a non-issue. Like he's $8,000. Like, why would you not play Paul Casey at $8,000?
Correct.
He'll be chalk probably, but I don't think it matters really.
No, correct. He's going to be chalk. I'm sure that by the end of the week, he'll end up as one of the most highly tagged guys on Fanshare Sports. But I don't think I care a whole lot. One of the guys that won't end up highly tagged this week that I think is interesting, I think the guys are going to be on Stenson. And I don't know, Stenson maybe is not 100%. I'm not sure like exactly what's going on there. But theoretically, Stenson fits this course. But the guy that I'm talking about or I'm thinking about is Hideki.
Yeah.
Hideki is a little interesting here to me. I don't think I'll have many shares, if any, but I do think he bears some consideration. Like by the time we get to Wednesday night, he might find himself in the lineup.
Yeah,
Why though? I mean, Hideki's one of the most tilting guys to roster.
So is fantasy. Like, sure, it's just like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've rostered Keegan. Like, I don't know. Like, if I'm,
that's ridiculous. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
I guess.
that's just blasphemy on this show.
I guess I just look at it like, you're trying to win first, or you're trying, or that's it, right? So, and I think Hideki has that type of upside that when he shows up to an event, that you get that. But you're right. Like, I don't want to watch my lineups with Hideki in them. But that said, like, I don't want to watch a lot of my lineups most weeks, right?
Yeah, also, if you're watching Hideki and you're judging anything based on his reactions, like, you're doing it wrong. Because
dude, the other day
he'll
he had
throw the fucking club and like hit the flag stick. Like, dude's so tilting. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he had a one-handed finish the other day, and it was like 7 feet from the pin. I'm like, really? You're really?
Yeah, him and Adam Scott are up there for probably the most tilting DFS plays imaginable.
I don't know, man, but Adam Scott's got a pretty swing in person, though.
He does. I'll give him that, but I'm just like with the putting. Both those two are essentially like Hideki's essentially the Asian Adam Scott.
It's pretty true.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
It really is. It's like I've come to think about that comparison over the last few weeks.
It works.
I actually like that quite a bit. It makes me very, very much less likely to roster Hideki, though.
Yeah. But
whatever helps the lineups.
True total GPP play right there. I think that Hideki has that low-owned upside.
What are we doing with Bubba this week?
I don't know. What are you doing with Bubba?
I mean, I never play Bubba, so that's why I'm asking you.
I don't know. I sort of have been looking past him wholesale, like, as I've been playing around with lineups this week.
He'll have like no ownership, right? Because he's the same price as Casey.
Yeah, I mean, he's like average 54 DraftKings points the last 3 years at this event.
For what it's worth, like,
he'll probably make the cut and probably score fairly well.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure he is worth more than I am giving him consideration for. I just don't find myself attracted to playing Bubba this week. Yeah. That said, that's an exceptional price for a guy that has 3 wins this year.
Yeah. And he from the course fit model has him pretty much neck and neck with Paul Casey. And at a significant ownership discount, I think he's at least worth a look, worth a lineup or two in if you're building a couple. I think he's worth some consideration at least.
No, you're absolutely right.
And I mean, Kuchar's right there at 7,900 too. Like there are like pretty obvious, like, or at least comfortable cash plays around him, which just means that more ownership is going to go elsewhere. So, and Bryson's right there too, if people are going there. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, as we go down to the 7K range, because I think we've discussed pretty much all the 8K guys.
That was such a good segue, by the way. I'm very proud of myself. I was really teed that up for you pretty well there.
You did. Thank you. I appreciate it all. Anyway, so yeah, we talk about these 7K guys. I mean, you have a Matt Kuchar down at 7,900, as well as Bryson. You have Webb Simpson at 7,700, and then you have Joaquin the Dream Neiman, who is probably I've seen him talked about a few times this week, but I mean, what's his? And I tried getting some of my friends on him, which that didn't go over well because they just think I'm an asshole to begin with. But
wow.
I played golf with these guys today. I have some golf stories for today if we ever get to that. But it was bad. But yeah, I mean, Joaquin Neiman I don't know. I think he's a solid play this week, and he's probably going to be high owned. I think he's been talked about quite a bit already.
Yeah, I will probably have 80-ish% of Neiman. He's second in my model, in the course fit model, like just behind DJ, based on how he's performed this year so far. So I don't care about the ownership. I'm going pretty far in with him this week. Jimmie, what are you thinking about Neiman?
So I'm a big fan of Joaquin Neiman. Just let me preface that.
This isn't going to end well for him.
But
yeah, here's the but.
I'm a little concerned at $7,600 chalk, guy playing in his third major, never made a cut in a major, and like I don't know, just it all sets up for a big letdown to me. I like the kid. He's made me some money this year. I've played him quite a bit. I've touted him. I've written him up literally every time he's played. I'm just not sure this is the event that I want to be all in on Joaquin Niemann. I will have some shares. I will probably be under whatever chalky ownership he ends up at. Yeah, I'm not sure that I can push all in on a guy in a major. I don't know, it might bite me. Like I said, I'm not full fading him. I'm just probably not gonna be as enthusiastic as you are to maybe roster as much of him. But for what you said, and literally every projection I look at, every optimizer, every machine learning, situation that's out there this week has him ranked within the top 5, including in all my models. It's just one of those things that what's driving all of that, all of these models, yours included, is this really small sample size. And we know how highly variant golf is. And we know, like, early in the swing season, when all those golfers pop up like that, Chesson Hadley comes to mind, Austin Cook comes to mind. When they were on fire in their early runs, all the optimizers had them like just so far and above everybody else. And then they came back to earth. So I'm just wondering if this is maybe a spot for that. So if everyone's going to be on him, I'll probably be underweight.
For what it's worth too, and I'm like, I'm going to play him because I believe in his talent and whatever else. But for what it's worth, his, not to go like too sort of like mathy, but his standard deviation, like
too granular,
his variance, though, like compared to the rest of this range, it definitely is a little bit of a bump. So you're taking that into account, obviously, with that, like maybe sort of lower floor also comes a higher ceiling, obviously, but he's right there. Like him, Webb, and Leishman in this range have pretty much the same standard deviation based on my model. So again, smaller sample, obviously, but it's not like he's not crazy. There's not these like crazy swings with him. Once he sort of settled in over the past, I don't know, maybe five-ish events. And the last couple of times he's played, his putter has left him, and he's still, made cuts and figured some stuff out. So I think if he can just be neutral with his putter, I think I wouldn't be shocked if he was, top 15-ish.
Dude, it wouldn't shock me if he wins this. Like, yeah, he is uber talented. I'm GPP first or last. I'm just wondering if maybe a kid playing in his third, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to trick a little bit of an angle. So I'll probably be underweight.
100%. No, I totally get that. But the same reason that you're underweight is the same reason that I'm overweight, right? Like we're saying the same thing. It's just a different, just a different angle.
I guess some of the pivots that I like around him that I'm going to have some shares of, definitely like Webb. I think Louis is intriguing this week. Doesn't show it in his strokes gained approach last event, but Louis is a big game hunter. He only shows up for the big events. Played well at the PGA Championship last year. I think it's like the 8th best or 10th best average at PGA Championships the last 3 years in DK points. So interested in Louis right there as a pivot off of like a super chalky Niemann. And then the other guy I'm interested to down here in at 7,500, Brandt Snedeker, totally screwed me at the Open Championship, but this borderline vampire is crushing it right now in his strokes gained approach. Should be able to manage just fine off of the tee, and an elite putter. Not an elite bent grass putter, but an elite putter in general, and a great lag putter. I think Brandt can can manage his way around this golf course. So I'll be taking some shares of him. And if several other plays in here as well.
If we think that the greens are going to be a little bit slower, Do you sort of lean towards that helping just generally good putters? Because I know we talk about like fast greens sort of negating the difference between, a guy like Hideki or Scott and some of the better putters. So when the greens are slower, do you weight putting any heavier, or is it sort of negligible?
I'm not going to change my weighting where it is now. It's already heavier than like what it normally is, but I think the slower greens probably help the true confident putters, the guys that know that, all right, this putt's rolling this way. I'm going to go at this hole because I'm not going to be worried about blasting it by. So, on the same token, I'm sure like that can help some bad putters too, where they just, okay, listen, I'll just, take the break out of it and fire at the back of this cup and see what happens.
That's how I golf. So
yeah,
I can appreciate that.
That's how you got to do it.
That's how Lucas Glover has played his entire career on the greens.
Now you're bringing up Glover's name into this.
He's never hit a putt outside a cup. So,
oh, man, poor guy. I hope he's gotten things straightened out at home.
Wow. God only knows. Anyway,
I like
Matt,
a good confident.
I think Jimmie froze again.
Oh yeah,
I'm there. I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, this is another like, it pisses me off so much because like Chesson just pops every single week, and I have no like confidence or trust in him anymore. Not that I ever really did, but like I've seen it go wrong now since it went right. So now I'm just like, well, fuck, what do I do? But if I was strictly going off the model, he would be like pretty head and shoulders above the rest of this like lower 7K range based on course fit for me.
What does your model say about one Rafa Cabrera Bello?
It's not great.
It's not great. I disagree. Great. Your model sucks. Rafa Cabrera Bello is awesome.
It's very possible.
Wow.
The only reason that I know that this model is somewhat correct is because JT did really well and Tyrrell Hatton did very poorly.
Past results are no guarantee. Future performance.
I'm pretty happy about both of those.
Listen, the Phil Mickelson commercial that inspired me to wear this shirt tonight told me so. No, I think Rafa is probably one of those sneaky GPP pivots that has the game to play around the world on any of these courses with this field, an elite ball striker that just struggles with his putter for the most part. I think that the softer greens will help him to be able to make use of his elite ball striking. He's going to put it in the right quadrant to the green. He's going to be on the correct side of the fairway, and he put a top 17 together at the Players earlier this year, and he put a 17th together last week as well, all done through like 3 strokes gained off the tee, 2 strokes gained on approach. Like, again, just sort of like Joaquin Niemann up here, like just crushing it ball striking right now if he can just do a little bit with his putter. And Rafa is a decent bent grass putter, so a positive bent grass putter, compared to the other surfaces for him. So I think Rafa makes a great pivot down here, and I haven't even looked at ownership for him, but I don't think like anybody's going to be jumping to play him. I mean, maybe he gets to like 7-8% owned.
Yeah. I mean, besides the US Open this year, I don't think I just pulled it up. Yeah. He hasn't cracked like over 6% ownership in GPPs except for the US Open this year. So he hasn't particularly been, that popular, but hasn't played a ton over here either. So
no, Rafa. I think Rafa is low key. Like he could put you a top. I wouldn't be surprised if Rafa put like a top 12, top 10 together.
I like it.
You'd have to Lucas Glover it though. All ball striking, no putting. Yeah. Like it's just.
He's gonna have to putt eventually.
Yeah, no, Lucas does too. Just badly, and same thing with Rafa.
I get you there. Now, can we talk about someone who tilted me very heavily during the Open, and that is Emiliano Grillo.
Grilled cheese, baby.
My man's probably going to be chalk in tournaments because he's 7,200. All the stats are in his direction. But I mean, can we trust him for the PGA? Because he really shat the bed at the Open.
Bro, last week he lost 7.9 strokes on approach. I'm not sure like what that does for you, but it tells me that I'm gonna stay away.
Yeah. I'm just saying though, some people might not be aware of that fact, and they'll probably just look at, I don't know, maybe just the last, because the first thing that pops up on Fantasy National, for example, is last 50 strokes. And in the last 50 stroke stuff, he performs very well, or rounds, not strokes. In the last 50 rounds.
I was like, that's very granular. I am not going with last 50 strokes.
Yeah, your last half round has been really, really on point.
Could you imagine?
DJ's front nine. Cool.
Yeah. No, but anyway, just the last 50 round stuff, he looks good on that, on the surface level stuff there.
Yeah.
So
people are going to be tempted to play him.
Yeah, the course fits him on paper. I just don't know if his form's there right now. But yeah, I mean, it absolutely does. He has not shown up in majors the last couple of years. I don't know what it is with Grillo. I don't know. Maybe his abnormally large nose is hindering his performance.
Oh, goodness. Matt, how do you?
He lost 12 strokes tee to green last week. That's
really? I want to see this.
That's difficult to do. Like, I might not even lose 12 strokes tee to green when I golf.
Yeah.
How does one lose 12 strokes tee to green?
It's not great. He was like neutral off the tee, lost 8 on approach almost, and almost 4.5 around the green.
Oh my God. I mean, the putting was fine at least. I don't know what that does for you if everything else sucks, but
Yeah, no, I'm not going there. I mean, we're missing like 7,100, obviously. Like, what are we doing here?
This is 7,100.
It's got to be Stuart Sink.
New list. Come on.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. This obsession with Luke List is just amazing.
So good.
You and Pat Mayo are just like...
I've been compared to worse, all right?
No, just saying. I think you two would cream if Luke List came within 50 feet of you.
Dude, I mean, we've been there already at the Open, but that's neither here nor there.
That one magical moment when he caught your eyes.
It was pretty special. I'm not gonna lie.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Wasn't Gary Woodland there too?
Yeah, it was the whole brand. It was List, Gary, and Finau in the threesome.
If you all just got a picture together, that would just be
like, what could be better than that? Seriously, like, all jokes aside, like, just probably with the exception of like JT, like the 3 guys I root for the hardest were in the same pairing, and I was there. Like, come on, it doesn't get much better than that.
I mean, outside of the putting, Luke List is fine this week. I mean, the putting is concerning, but if he doesn't have any putting issues this week, then I think he'll be fine.
Right,
yeah,
and
him and Kyle Stanley are going to be the chalk down here more than likely. I mean,
right,
this range, they're going to be where more people to gravitate to than anybody else in this range, and
right, which is what I was going to say. Like, the putting has always been the concern for Stanley, right? He was neutral last week, and he had a runner-up finish.
Yeah, crushed it.
You know what I mean? Like, he only gained half a stroke putting all week, and just off of doing that was able to have a runner-up in a WGC event. Like, when you're talking about guys who can strike the ball like this, you take your shots. So I'll have a heavy dose of him. Him being List, not Kyle Stanley, because
I mean, List and Stanley are both the lead off the tee.
They're the same. They're literally the same player.
Yeah.
Except one's half decent at putting and the other one's half decent at sand. That's it.
Put them together, they might win a tournament.
They might.
There you go. And obviously I'll have a little bit of Gary. But
how chalky do you think Gary gets? I think his ball striking the last couple of weeks has kind of got people interested in him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm not sure I go down that road or not.
Like, you figure with List right there, Stanley coming off a runner-up, him $100 cheaper. Could any of them, do you think it spreads out, or do you think there's a clear preference out of those three?
Which three again?
So if we're going to think that List gets pretty popular, if Stanley gets a bump in ownership because of the runner-up finish last week and Gary's right there.
Oh, I think Stanley's the most popular than List than Woodland if I had to rank them in popularity.
Right. So, I mean, where does that leave Gary's ownership, you think?
I don't know, probably close to 8, 10.
Like not more than 12, probably.
If he gets touted, he can get to 12 down here, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna write him up. So there's one tag.
There's 1%. There's 1% right there. You can bump him to 11 right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you imagine if people actually think that me writing somebody up moves ownership even that much?
Listen, you're a heavyweight in this industry, Matt. Don't you forget it.
That would be unbelievable.
You're a market maker. You're a rainmaker.
I'm gonna tout
you're
Paul
making
Dunn.
Money moves, as Cardi B would say.
I'm gonna tout Paul Dunn this week and see if I can get his ownership up.
Really?
Now that would be the ultimate money move.
Gary Woodland has the 15th most tags on Fanshare right now. So.
Okay, so he might get to that 12%. Who knows?
Yeah. Here's
Billy
my
Horschel,
question.
I think. Go ahead.
Now here's this is kind of just a stupid ownership question. But do you think Eddie Pepperell is going to have 5% ownership just because of just how much coverage he got?
Was he played hungover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome, by the way.
I mean, I obviously I'm not talking about him as like a guy you should roster, but like
I think maybe if he was cheaper, that it could have been a thing. But I think he'll get lost in between the three guys we just mentioned.
$7K for what he does.
I wouldn't be surprised if he made the cut for sure.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he obviously can go low, and he played well very recently, but I think he'll probably, for the general public, he'll probably get lost.
I think, I mean, I don't think he gets over like 3 or 4%, but
right.
I do think he figured out his recipe for success. He's just, maybe got to show up a little canned.
There you go. That's my motto for this show. So
I played one of my best rounds of golf ever. I mean, smelling like a bottle of Jack Daniels. Literally, I was late for the tee time. I was like 10 minutes late. Everyone's on the first tee waiting for me, and I shot one of my best rounds. On the edge of death. So there might be something to that.
I think his tee time's like 6:50 though.
Oh, that's
even better. Haven't you seen Tin Cup? So I mean, by the end of the weekend, Eddie Pepperell's going to be, putting 12 balls into the water, trying to go for it. The creek on 17 maybe is where it's at. We're going to Tin Cup this whole event. Eddie Pepperell's going to be the guy with a funny accent, English dude.
Hey, if you say so.
I do think Billy Horschel could be a bit interesting here. Played really well at the Barbasol recently, a really streaky golfer. Again, course, doesn't necessarily favor bombers, I don't think. I think Billy could compete here. Favorable bent grass putter. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to be taking tons of shares, but I might have one lineup with him. And I think Billy's like one of those guys who could put together a top 5, and people are like, oh, nobody saw that coming.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, we'll move down the pricing scale here. I mean, we go to our very nicely priced $6,900 guys. And then just from here on down, who are you guys, Matt, I'll go to you first here. Who are you targeting in the 6K range?
Yeah, I mean, I
do see one name that's worth, a good amount of exposure.
Well, there's definitely guys down here that are worthy of playing, and if you're going to pay all the way up, obviously, like usual, you need to find some of these guys down here. I don't think that my primary lineup building is going to require me to go down this low. I'm just not looking to do that this week. I don't think you need to go stars and scrubs in a major. And I think that's sort of what people tend to do. So I'm going to try to be a little bit contrarian doing that at least. But there's a lot of guys to like down here, right? Like, obviously, I'll play some Sink because that's my guy. I don't know. Kevin Na really popped in this model, and I think he's already been spoken about elsewhere. So that could make some sense. Brian Gay really popped in my model, but I think that that's more because it's long term, and I'm not sure that I am fully in on him.
Brian Gay, top 20 last time this event was here.
Fair. Yeah, he's let me see. He's like 80th percentile in the model at 6,800. So that's a pretty good combination there. Yeah.
Hey, what does your model say about one Beau Hossler?
Hossler in the shorter term, I think he was he first? I think I sent it to you guys. I think he was first in when I built it from the US Open till now. Longer term, it sort of evens out, but that's from like the start of the fall swing. So I don't know. I mean, it depends on how you want to weight things based on recent form versus just sort of like long-term fit. But that definitely caught my attention the other day.
What do we make? So I've never been like a big Beau Hossler guy. I think what he did in college is incredible and blah, blah, blah. I think he's a funny looking dude. Is mainly like the only like thoughts I have about Beau Hossler generally when I see him on television. But he is a talented guy. He's a good putter, and he's got plenty of length off the tee, and he is really talented, but really streaky. And a lot of his success comes through his putter. Hasn't played the last 2 weeks. Undisclosed withdrawals. What do you make of that? Do you make of it because he couldn't get into the WGC is the reason he withdrew 1 week, and then the other week was just a trash tournament, and they thought maybe I'll just focus on this. Right. That's my assessment. But is there anything else to that?
I have no idea.
Okay, because I'm just going to roll with it that there's no problem, and he's focusing on this event. And if that's the case, I like it, and I want a couple of shares.
Yeah, I like it. I'm down.
How you guys feel on Aaron Wise? 6,800.
Sort of the same way I feel about Beau Hossler. Like, they both are talented kids. They both like do a lot with their putter, have length off the tee. I don't know if I can really get behind him. He did pop up on a couple of things for me, so I don't know. I don't dislike it. I guess I just haven't really like latched onto it. The guy that I've kind of picked up on is Russell Henley. I'm sure I'm not alone in that either. $6,700 bentgrass putter. Another guy, the other guy besides Brandt let me down huge at the Open Championship. I find myself looking at again this week. I'll probably have several shares of Henley as well at 6,700. He'll probably be one of the chalkier guys down here, I would imagine, just based on the names I'm scrolling.
Okay.
What about?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just gonna say, JJ Spawn is $6,400.
That's incredible.
Like, that seems like a mistake, right? I mean, I know he's not the best. I mean, to say the least, he's not the best bent putter. He's not the best putter in general, obviously. God, but 6,400, like, he's the same price as like Jordan L. Smith. Like, it's just weird.
Might be a better golfer than him, though. I'm serious.
Yeah, I saw that.
Jordan L. Smith has like 3 international victories.
Yeah, but like, okay, so I don't know, Shuga Imahara, like whatever. He's 6,400. Like, I think that's a little low for him. I don't know.
I'm sure you're correct. I don't know. I guess I just never get on that train. There is a Zach J. Johnson golfing this week, which is interesting. Wonder how he got in the field.
I wonder how a lot of these guys got in the field, honestly.
Grit, determination.
Grit, yeah.
Sacrifice.
I mean, a Brian Smock.
It's an unfortunate name.
Yeah. What other
I
Just
went
go
to high
name
school
on
with
it
a
for a
kid
second.
that had a name like that.
Any other like really weird names in here?
That's
I saw
about the only
Jordan.
reason you'd want to play any of these guys down
Yeah.
here. I like Brandon Stone is obviously a talented golfer at 6,300 coming off a win recently. I could see some people like going there at 6,300, but for the most part, I'm not going below like $7,000.
Yeah, no, I mean there really doesn't seem a whole need to do that.
Craig Hocknell, what an awesome name, Hocknell.
Can you say that one more time?
Hocknell.
See, if you don't pronounce his name like that, you're not allowed to roster him.
No.
I feel like that should be the rule on DraftKings. Like they, you put him in your roster and they tell you to turn your computer or phone microphone on.
I
And if
don't
you
know,
don't pronounce it just like that, Hawk.
I'm pretty sure that they let a Street Fighter character into the field this week, and Ryoki Tokimatsu. All you can.
Now this is just getting crazy.
Yeah, I think we've reached the end of our golfing analysis.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot more down here at the bottom that I'm interested in playing.
Just some really cool names.
So we do have to give like who's our pick to win? What is who you guys taking? What are your thoughts? Where are you going? Who's it going to be?
Are we going a certain price or?
I just whatever. I know who you're going to pick.
I mean, obviously, come on. Like, it's Justin Thomas. He's going to repeat. It's going to be great. If not, like, if I was picking, say, like, under 9,000, I really think Cantlay is going to show up this week. I really like him quite a bit.
Okay. Can't hate it. That was my pick from last week to win, and I'll be devastated if he does this week. That'll be just absolutely tragic. What about you, Evan?
I mean, to win this thing, I think I might go Rose if he's healthy. Otherwise, if not Rose, I guess I'd just say DJ. Go safe and just say DJ.
Nice. I'll just be different and say Ricky just because I kind of want to see him do it, and I think everyone's going to hate on it this week.
That would be awesome, honestly.
Yeah,
I would love to see that.
Yeah, I don't actually know if I believe in that pick. It's more of just like a fan pick, but I would really love to see it. I'm gonna have a couple of Ricky lineups just because I don't think I've ever not had a couple of Ricky lineups, but yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see. So I'm gonna hope for a players edition Ricky Fowler situation to happen Sunday.
I like it.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. This has been the bogey-free podcast for the PGA Championship. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube and iTunes podcast streams. Bogey-free is the search term for that. And of course, if we're not winning all the money, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contests this week.
See ya.